Home inspection's nightmare. What agents must understand. Hi, I'm Paul R. Atkinson, your real estate coach. Today we're going to talk about home inspection's nightmare. Some of the things that agents really need to understand when they're getting involved with a home inspection. Before we get started, please remember, click on the subscribe button. Stay in touch. Get notified every time I have something new. Also, be sure to get down into the describe section of this video where you'll find links of more relative information about home inspections. Also, don't forget to send me a comment. Just let me know if there's something you want me to expand on or something you just want to ask a quick question or just want to give a shout out. I appreciate that too. Home inspections, nightmare. What could that be? Can you imagine? Well, I tell you what, it could kill your deal totally. Some of the things I want to tell you about home inspections, in order for you to make sure that your deal goes smoothly, and that's your job, really. You need your deal to go smooth for the seller. You need your deal to go smooth for the buyer. Whichever side you're on, you need to make sure that the deal goes smooth. One way to make sure that it does go smooth is to handle the home inspection in a very good way. There are some tools and techniques. Go in the description box below, click on the link, and get more. But I'm going to tell you real quickly. Here's what you do. The home inspector, there's two sides. So let's deal with the buyer sides first. Let's say you're representing the buyer. Well, you're going to take the lead on that. So most likely, you'll ask your buyer, hi, do you have a home inspection company that you'd like to use? Or would you like my office or me to recommend one to you, or three? So most of the time they'll say, oh yeah, Paul, whatever you do, because they trust me, they trust you. So you'll be the one. So you or your staff will go out, or your assistant, and they will call up 2 or 3 people, get some quotes for them, the buyers, run the quotes past them, and the buyer picks, and then you say, okay, cool, you're going to go with this one. Remember, these people that you recommend and you do business with, you really need to have an ability to communicate with them initially, to know how they do their work and what they're going to provide in their work. Reason being, and it could be a nightmare, I've seen in the past where, for example, let's flip the script. The buyer says, oh yeah, I've got my own inspector. Okay, I say right there, stop. Make sure that they are licensed and insured and they're doing a professional job, because more than likely the language of your contract says that the buyer has the right to do a home inspection, but it needs to be a licensed professional, whatever, an insured person. Okay, so check the contract, look at that paragraph, make sure you're advising them right. So now I've seen a situation, a nightmare, where the buyer decided to choose their own inspector. Okay, so call it, they are insured and licensed, whatever. Come to find out, the inspector really was not qualified to really do a full-blown inspection. They left off few items that were so important. And I won't go into details, but it became a nightmare because by the time you end up closing the deal and moving forward, at the end, when you get ready to get, for example, let's say that they did not complete some part of the inspection, like a mitigation report. You're in all over the world right now, but just imagine there's some part of it that this inspector just did not complete, right? And when you get to the end of it, it's discovered, right? It's like somebody's looking it over for the insurance and they say, wait a second, we don't have this report, or because of this result, we will have to cause your insurance premium to be higher. So now, one thing affects the other. So here it is, the inspection report comes back where something was overlooked or not looked at, not provided for, and in such a way that you went all the way to the end towards closing and you're getting ready to wrap the deal up now, and they turn around and the insurance company comes in because you're getting a loan, it's not finance, it's not cash, and that causes the debt to income ratio, DTI, to increase just a notch, and the loan dies. It doesn't work. You have to either you find cheaper insurance or the buyer has to pay something else. Listen, this could be like a nightmare. You don't want to involve yourself with people that are not competent. And usually you need to have at least one or two or three. Recommend one or two or three. Let them choose based on the price, because things can come back. If you continue just to refer one person at a time, and sometimes things happen even post-closing, like after closing, a lot of times you hear that. The buyer closes, it's like a year later, it's like 2 years later, they call up your office or call you up. Hey, I had this happen in the house and the inspector didn't do a good job because somebody else told me, and he came in here and told me that, oh, when you bought the house, the inspector should have pointed this out to you. Hey, listen, things just get all twisted. So you want reputable people to do your home inspections. And how do you do that? Look for a company that's been around for a while, that's been doing a lot of business with other realtors, and good reviews. Realtors speak about them. I just had an inspection yesterday, and just this morning I was talking to the listing agent, and I need a credit. I need like $5,000 credit. So I explained to them, I sent them the report, and I said, hey, look, I sent you a report this morning. I programmed it for 8 o'clock to hit your in bin. Look, 8 o'clock. He says, oh yeah, I see it. I said, oh, okay, good. I started to give my pitch. Hey, my buyer want to move forward. I need $5,000, Please just tell the seller. He looks over the report and he says, oh, wow, it's such and such inspection company. He says, oh, I use them too for all my deals. I said, oh man, so my inspection report is valid. So use things that are valid or good. What I'm just saying there is, guys, listen to what I just said. I just did a deal last night, right? And it so happens I need to get the buyer some money, some credit. The listing agent also used the same inspector that we used. You see what I'm talking about? It's important. Let's talk about the seller real quick on the inspection side. It's your listing. What do you want to do? Make sure when that buyer brings that inspector inside of that property, you have, write this down, you have running water. Make sure there's water in there, in the house. The water is running, okay? Because they need to inspect the entire property. Your contract says that. Make sure there's also electricity. All right, so you need water, electricity, utilities are on, everything is working. Be there to get things opened up. Any access to any panels or anything extra. If there's a lock on an access to go up in the attic, make sure you get the keys, check it, be ready. You don't want a report to come back where, oh, we didn't have access to this because of so-and-so. You need to just take a moment. Now listen, you don't have to go and stay the whole 2-3 hours for the inspection. You want to go open things up and say, hey, look, when you finish, please lock up, because typically the buyer's agent will be there. So it's up to you. You don't have to sit the whole time. Those are some of the things that you need to know as a real estate agent in having a successful inspection and not having it to be a nightmare. So once again, I always enjoy being with you guys. Until next time, you know what I like to say. Go down in the description box, right? Click on the link that applies to you. Look at my list of how you can have a successful inspection, and be sure to subscribe. Until next time, I will see you soon. Go get him, Tiger.